Hi, everyone. Welcome back to a special bonus episode of Emerging Brands podcast with Kelly Bennett. Today, I have Adrienne DeLisio. She is one of the go-to people if you are in CPG, if you live in New York City, if you're building a food and beverage brand. This is a special episode sharing with you what is happening at Naturally New York. So, Adrienne, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Kelly. You're
You're
doing
so
incredible work.
welcome. Yes. So you're the executive director, which is really badass. And for
Thanks.
anyone who doesn't know, could you give us an understanding of what is Naturally New York and what your role is there?
Of course. So Naturally New York is a community organization whose vision is to foster sustainable and responsible business practices, stimulate conscious business growth, support entrepreneurship, and develop exceptional leadership within the greater New York organic and sustainable product industry. Um, we are building unity in this CPG community to really shape a more prosperous and healthier world. We are currently a community of CPG professionals with nearly 1,000 active members and
Amazing.
over 500 companies represented and 300 brands. It's really just been an incredible joy to be with the team from day one and help to see what it's achieved today. I'm really excited for the next year ahead, and yeah, it's really just been the most rewarding experience of my career thus far.
That is all of my favorite things you basically just wrapped up of what Naturally New York is doing, and this is why I was so excited to have you on. I'm also a member of Naturally New York, and for anyone listening who's not in New York City, because this podcast is, coast to coast and now around the world, which is cool. If someone isn't familiar with the Naturally New York chapter, can you just give us an overview of the broader network that is the Naturally world?
Yes, so Naturally New York is one of 12 affiliates that make up the Naturally Network. It originated almost 20 years ago, starting with the Naturally Boulder chapter, but only
Oh,
over the
wow.
last, yeah, I can't, they actually are the largest chapter still in the Naturally Network. Um, Over the last 5 to 7 years, I would say more chapters started popping up, and we try to bring on at least two year over year. Um, we are speaking to over 42,000 shareholders in the CPG industry nationwide. And it's really just been great to collaborate with all the other executive directors and team members of those chapters because every market is so different. Our programming is
Right.
different, our audience is different. So, we have some national initiatives that we collaborate on. Most recently was the Women in CPG Summit. But we also are always working together and helping to support trade show activations with dedicated pavilions and additional networking opportunities. Naturally New England actually came on this year, and being Naturally Northeast, we've collaborated on a lot of live and virtual programming, which has been proven to be wildly successful. I mean, the more you could kind of join forces and drive additional awareness, it will just only, prove to be more positive performance. So it's been a great joy, and I'm very excited to still only be 3 years old, but so
You've done
small
a
but mighty
lot.
chapter.
You've done a
Yes.
lot in 3 years. I mean, the programming to me in Naturally New York is outstanding.
Thank
It's
you.
one of the best community spaces I've been in. And definitely every founder that I speak to is always saying the praises of Naturally New York, who's here local, but also in other chapters. I've heard great things too. For someone who is getting started in CPG, they're like, okay, I want to do this thing. I want to build this brand. You mentioned that Naturally New York has around 1,000 members, right?
Mhm.
Which is wildly cool. How does Naturally New York work with CPG brands or a program? You mentioned events, but just to give someone an idea of what it's like to become a member and maybe some resources or things that are happening so they could understand, okay, this is where I go for X, Y, and Z. That would be really helpful.
Of course. So we offer a lot of exclusive opportunities for brands to connect with anyone in the CPG ecosystem through our community-based programming. So that is live networking events, a lot of educational webinars. Actually, many of the pre-recordings are available on our YouTube channel. We offer pitch opportunities with retailers and investors, distributors, obviously have quite a big role also at all the major trade shows, not just in the food and bev space, but in beauty, wellness, and other categories.
Oh, cool.
Yes, so we really are trying to kind of be everywhere in a sense, but developing strategic partnerships that make the most sense for our community, giving them the best advice
Mhm.
from industry veterans or founders that have exited to really help coach them on how to take the next steps in scaling their business. So to date, ironically, I was just pulling the numbers. We have hosted 120 events in 3 years, which is
Wow.
unreal. And it really is starting to take more shape, as the years go on. And we're already really ahead of our 2025 schedule and really excited to kind of share some new formats and ideas that are gonna come forward in the schedule. So more to
I'm
be announced.
curious because the Naturally Network has multiple chapters around the country. Is there anything specific that you're hearing from the New York chapter that people really want or need, or anything that you find that is unique to New York that people need type of resourcing or types of events?
I would say that it's somewhat similar to what other chapters are hearing too, but fundraising, capital,
Mm,
I mean, that
right,
is numero uno.
right,
I would say, the ability to connect with more buyers and just more opportunities to connect with the right people in the room. Um, yeah, I think that right now, especially during this economic climate, it's been really challenging for the brands to be heard, seen, and really raise capital. So with some of the programming that we've hosted this year, including like our investor boot camps, I have
right,
ideas of how to kind of take that to the next phase and give brands the opportunity to submit their pitch decks and have them reviewed by a larger team of the investors in our network, not just necessarily with our partners. So being able to kind of give that direct connection and that one-to-one opportunity to just build a relationship
right.
um, is something we're very focused
The
on
investor
doing
boot camp
actively.
was next level.
Thank you.
It was really, really incredible. I took so many notes during that experience, and I was blown away with the access that you all brought into the room and the strategic partners that you have. That event really, for me, solidify like, wow, Naturally New York, this is no joke. Like, you all are really bringing in such impactful resources, information. I was literally live texting so many of my clients, like, you have to go to the next one. You have to join. You have to sign up. Like, this is, and I did a reel on it too, and just did like a really quick screenshot of my notes. And I had so many founders contact me. They're like, how do I get to the next one? Because it was very genuine. I'm like, this is really, really helpful information. Also, to another one that I love was the restaurant to CPG, which is a sector of clients that I work with or starting to work with. And that event I thought was so brilliant of the thought partnership and conversations there. So I really
Something
encourage people to join because what you're curating is definitely, something that is needed, and I don't see that many places.
I appreciate that feedback. The investor boot camp, we've done two this year and definitely have some new ideas on how to restructure it for next year. But we thought it was important not just to focus on debt and equity raising, but also to kind of have brands start to think about other areas that they should be investing in,
Right.
especially in their early stages of growth. So everything from legal to growing your team, I was very happy to have Gina Llewellyn and ForceBrands also as part of the Investor Bootcamp, which was hosted by Bank of America and had countless other investor partners on the panels. It was a really just meaningful conversations, I would say, overall. And I was really happy to just like see how everybody stayed after the sessions
Right.
to kind of
Right.
network and get to know each other better. So
Everyone was super engaged and truly like on the edge of their seat taking notes. Like that was definitely the energy in the room. I had on Veronica, the founder of Edgies, and she mentioned being part of Naturally New York and some initiatives that you had around supporting emerging brands. I would love if you could share a little bit more about that type of programming as well.
yes, so kudos to Veronica and Edgies, doing an incredible job on helping to drive a lot of awareness towards her product.
And her pre-sales are live, which is
Oh,
amazing. I ordered
there you go.
mine. Yep.
Love that. Yeah, so that program was our minority owned fellowship program. That is a national initiative driven by the Naturally Network. It was started by their executive director, Katrina Tolentino, who was the former ED in Austin. So it helps 15 brands be a part of an 8-week cohort that is presented by NIQ and gives them a lot of education and resources and opportunities to exhibit at major trade shows for additional exposure. And it has been very successful year over year.
So cool.
So I was very happy to see that she was a part of that and got selected. And there were many, many applicants.
I'm
As you can
sure.
imagine, I believe we have at least 3 or 4 brands in this year's cohort.
Incredible. Is there any other brands, from the New York chapter that we should be on the lookout for, or any brands that you're like, "Okay, they're definitely, making some moves?"
I would say on the emerging side, Power, Sanzo, Somos, really have been seeing them just grow exponentially in my time here. And you know, when I think of my more early stage brands, but have been seeing extreme traction and just being distributed more nationwide, I have to give shout outs to Ginger Labs, Waku Tea, Wild Orchid, Good Sam Foods, Rind, and oh my gosh, there's so many countless others
Such a
that
good lineup already.
we
Okay,
have
I'll
a
have to
full
look them
company
up.
directory on our website for you to see all 300 brands in our community to learn
Okay,
more.
fabulous. I'll definitely put that in the show notes because as a brand nerd myself, I would love to support and shop the brands within the network. I'll definitely add that. Is there any advice you would share with a founder of an emerging brand, maybe in those really early stages, or they're on the cusp of maybe going to distribution or starting to pitch for fundraising, or they're starting to get on the trade show circuit? I would love to hear from your perspective because you see so many case studies every single day. Is there any sort of best practices or advice you would share with someone uh, who, admires most of those brands that you just listed?
I think we've all heard this one before, but it's not necessarily what you know, but who you know.
Hmm.
I think it's really important for these brands as they're starting out to show up.
Right.
And, you know, you never know who you're going to meet at a networking event or trade show, whatever it might be, that could potentially propel your business forward. And it's important to like stay connected and remain top of mind because you never know when the day comes when you might be needing their support on a certain initiative. And the relationship's already been established. So I think that is a true testament to how a brand could be successful and especially leveraging the Naturally Network to grow their own network of contacts within the industry.
That's a really good point, and I think a really good motivator because what I hear often from especially early stage emerging brand founders, they're in the trenches in the day to day of getting their idea out of their head into the world. And then they get really anxious about showing up to places. Maybe they don't have all the answers to questions they think someone's going to ask them, or they don't feel real enough to be calling themselves a founder, or whatever the case may be. Is there any advice there too of like getting people to show up because they might be in their head about it?
Well, I can understand how some people are definitely a bit more introverted than others, right? But if you really are new to naturally New York and you don't know too many people, or maybe you just moved here from another city, but you want to get more involved, I'm more than happy to meet with you directly and help point you in the right direction of who you should be speaking to based on your needs. I understand how intimidating that can be. I'm a little bit of an extrovert myself, but I think that
You're
helps
great at
actually
that.
with
You really are. I
yeah.
admire that about you because I am actually more of the introvert type of person.
You don't come
And
off that way.
no one believes me. It's funny. My girlfriend's like, "No, you're not." I'm like, "No, I really truly am." But I admire people who are extroverted and who can work a room, and so I really admire that about you. I've seen you at many events just connecting people and being super engaging. And so I'm emphasizing that point too because for a founder who maybe more on the shy side or introverted side, knowing that there's a friendly face in the room that is willing and wanting to connect with you and help you feel comfortable, I think is such a huge, huge piece of this, of getting outside of their own four walls that they're probably working in all the time to be more engaged. And I've seen that as one of the biggest game changers of a founder, especially in the early days of just showing up and connecting. And you don't have to put super pressure on yourself, but going to these types of events, it is a game changer. I've seen it in clients and in my own personal life and stories from the podcast too. So I definitely, definitely encourage people taking this opportunity to show up.
And I would say that if a networking event feels a bit intimidating to start, I mean, we are hosting smaller, intimate events, more
Right.
founder forums and dinners. We will be rolling out more like fireside chats and other types of programs that are a bit smaller scale. So, maybe that would be a great place to start too.
That's a
If that
great
helps.
point of finding what type of event or what you want to learn or who you want to connect with to get started. I
Exactly.
know that Naturally New York has some really fun events, speaking of events, happening coming up, um, ending out the year and also heading into the new year. So, could you give us some sneak peeks or teasers of what's happening at Naturally New York?
I would be happy to. The last couple of months, we've been really focused on the holiday bazaar. And I'm happy to share a bit more detail of what that actually is going to entail as we are really still finalizing plans, but almost almost at the finish line. So the holiday bazaar is going to be on Wednesday, December 11th from 4 to 10 p.m. at Home Studios in Flatiron, which is located on 18th and Broadway. We are going to host our first shoppable holiday marketplace featuring
Ooh,
40 natural brands. All the brands can be found on the website, and I'll also share with you a link to that in case anyone would like to register.
yes.
But in addition to that, we're going to provide complimentary food and bev and cocktails. We have some really fun activations planned. So our photo booth, we're also going to have Frosty the Snowman and the Grinch show up to take
Cute.
pictures with everybody. Yeah, so we have some cool things planned. We have a big raffle. I've already secured some great gift cards and Mets tickets and a few other
Wow.
great items that I think people are going to get really excited about. So you'll be able to purchase raffle tickets on site. But yeah, it's going to be our biggest event of the year for sure. We're anticipating up to 300 guests.
Amazing. That's incredible. Any sneak peeks for next year of like what you're thinking about for programming?
I would just say that they're going to be kind of new and improved,
Okay,
right?
okay, that's cool.
So, again, we were kind of like thinking of instead of just maybe an investor boot camp, maybe more marketing focused, or maybe there's an insurance focused. There's so many topics to cover,
Right.
and we kind of like plotted them all down and we got to like 100 events. I'm like, this is not feasible,
Wow.
so we've got to
Right.
kind of figure out, what the priority is going to be, so I don't have too many details to share on what the 2025 schedule looks like, but you can definitely rest assured that all the topics that you probably already have seen from us are only going to get stronger next year.
Incredible. And I'm sure people listening, if you're in New York City or if you want to connect with a chapter, how do you join the Naturally New York network?
Yeah, so we offer a variety of opportunities for brands and non-brand members to become involved. To review a list of individual or corporate membership opportunities, please visit naturallynewyork.org. You'll see a Become a Member button in the right-hand corner, which will where you could review all those benefits. And if you were interested in brokering a bigger partnership with Naturally New York, please contact us at info@naturallynewyork.org and we will send you more information.
Incredible. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and your passion and your commitment to supporting CPG brands and founders and community. I know that finding Naturally New York was such a game changer in my own personal life to feel more connected with what was happening after moving back home to New York. So, thank you for all your programming. It's been really, really helpful in my personal life, and I know for many founders out there.
Thank you, Kelly. I truly appreciate your support as well in helping to just drive more awareness of our organization and help to bring in new members. People have mentioned you as well as their referrals. So,
That's amazing.
that's the power of community and being able to just be a part of something great.
Ah, I love hearing
Hopefully,
that. Like, that's what it's all about, right? Like, being able
mhm.
to share and connect and have that community. So, thank you so much. If you're listening, definitely join Naturally New York. I would love to see you IRL. And I can't wait to see all the programming closing out the year at the Holiday Bazaar and next year. So, thank you so much. Join Naturally New York, and I'll see you all in the new year. Bye.
I thank you so much.
Thank you.